Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear students, inshallah, in this class we'll be starting a new chapter, chapter 23, which is control and coordination. We all know that in our body we have various functions. We have digestion, we have breathing, we have some physical action in our body. There are many functions in our body. So all these functions, they have to be coordinated, they have to be maintained, they have to happen in a controlled manner. So there are certain system that controls and coordinates these functions in our body so that they happen properly and at a proper time, without any error. So we will be seeing that in this chapter, inshallah. For example, we have like digestion secretion. I mean digestive juices secretion. So there is a system called as endocrine system. It what it does is that it secretes certain chemical that is responsible for digestion. Like that, the endocrine system generally has hormone secretion for many processes that happen in our body. Okay, so we will see about the system, and also there are certain organs that are responsible for our thoughts when we think and when we have feelings, emotions, and behavior. Okay, all these are controlled by certain system, like you have nervous system. Okay, so these two systems, nervous system and I mentioned endocrine system, they work together and they ensure that our body functions uh, in a controlled and coordinated manner. Okay, controlled and coordinated manner. Okay, so these two system, first one is nervous system and second one is endocrine system. They work together to uh, uh, for our bodies function to happen in a controlled and coordinated manner. So the nervous system, what does it include? So this is the nervous system. When we it includes brain, spinal cord, sense organs, and nerves. Okay, these are the things that are included in the nervous system. Brain, spinal cord. I hope you know spinal cord. I will show you here. So this is the spinal cord which is present in our body. I hope you all know it. Whenever you don't know any organs which are common but you don't know it, then what you have to do is go to Google, search the organ name, and you will see the images. Okay. So this is the nervous system, while the endocrine system, okay, endocrine system, it operates to certain chemicals. Okay, in our body it operates to certain chemicals. Those chemicals are produced by specialized glands. Okay, glands means a gland that secretes something. Okay, and they are then secreted directly into the blood. Okay, so those certain chemicals, they having some special function, are called as hormones. Okay, they are called as hormones. So the nervous system, it works with the endocrine system. Okay, it works with the endocrine system to communicate and integrate and coordinate the functions of various organs and systems in our body. For example, they are interconnected. Okay, so when there is a certain chemical has to be secreted. Okay, and what happens is that nervous system, it sends a signals to the endocrine system so that that certain hormone or chemical is secreted. I hope now you are clear that how nervous system and endocrine system are interconnected. So giving some examples from our daily life will make us understand the complexity of these processes. Okay, for example, we feel hungry, right? Why do we feel hungry? Have you ever thought of it? Why do we feel hungry? Okay, so when our body needs energy, what happens is that the brain sends signal to the endocrine system so that particular hormone or chemical is secreted so that it makes us feel hungry. So that's how the nervous system and endocrine system are interconnected. Okay, and also sometimes if you see some tasty food or a food which you like, what happens is that suddenly you crave for it. This then you feel hungry. This is because your eye sees it and you remember that this food is tasty, or you smell a good food. Okay, and that is a sensory organ, you have nose, and your brain sends signal, and then further uh, the hunger is initiated. That's how it works, the nervous system and endocrine system. So for example, you have gastric juice, bile and pancreatic juice. Okay, so these are uh, from specific endocrine glands. So when we eat food, so nervous system sends signals, and then particular these digestive juices are secreted for the digestion. So all these processes happen by the uh, interconnected function between endocrine system and nervous system. So the nervous system and endocrine system, they work together as a team. Okay, they work together as a team to control and coordinate all our activities, like physical actions, like moving a hand, walking, any physical actions, and our thinking process, emotional behavior, and etc. All these are controlled by nervous system and endocrine system. Okay, so sometimes there are some actions that happen without even us thinking about it. Okay, without even us intentionally doing it. For example, breathing, you don't concentrate every time so that you breathe it, automatically you are doing it. Okay, and also digestion of food, you don't personally, whenever you want to do digestion, you switch on the digestion. Whenever you don't want it, you switch off it. No, it doesn't happen like that, it automatically happens. So these actions also controlled by nervous system and endocrine system. So there is another set of action known as reflex action. Okay, so these are usually executed during urgent or dangerous situation. So you have to remember this: urgent or dangerous situation. Whenever you hear this word reflex action, you have to remember urgent or dangerous situation. For example, your hand suddenly touches a hot object, okay, without even you knowing it. Okay, suddenly you remove your hand. Okay, these are based on reflex action. We will see more about it in the upcoming topics, inshallah. So now we will see about the nervous system. The functioning of the nervous system depends on detecting a stimulus. Okay, detecting a stimulus in the internal or external environment. Okay, and responding to it. So you have a stimulus in the internal or external environment and responding to it. So that's how the functioning of the nervous system is happening. Okay, so what is stimulus? Stimulus is an agent, okay, or environmental change, okay, which can initiate a response. It can stimulate a response in the body. It can be done it can happen in internal to a body or external to a body. So the stimuli can be of several types. It could be physical, like touching. So touching is a stimuli. So pricking. I hope you all know what is pricking. And pressure. Pressure is applied. Okay. So these are physical stimulus. And auditory. Auditory means we hear it. Okay. Sound through our ears. That is auditory stimuli. And chemical. Okay. That is whatever is dealing with the chemical like water or any other. So that's a stimuli. So a radiant like light. Okay. Heat or cold, that's temperature. Or electrical stimuli. Okay. So a stimuli could be anything: physical, auditory, chemical, radiant, heat or cold, or electrical. Okay. So these can initiate a response in our body. Okay. That can happen either in the internal environment or the external environment to our body. So now we will see neuron. What is neuron? So neurons are nothing but nerve cells. Okay. Nerve cells are what is called as neurons. Okay. So how these uh, neurons are the individual cells of the nervous system, how they communicate within each other. Okay. There are millions of neurons, and how they communicate with each other, and also how they communicate with other tissues to receive and transmit information throughout the body. So how it happens, so that we are going to study now, inshallah. So now we will see the generalized structure of a neuron. It consists of three parts. First one is dendrites, second one is the cell body, and third one is the axon. Okay. So now we will see one by one in detail. Okay. So the dendrites are the branched cytoplasmic projection from the cell body. So this is the cell body. Okay. This is the cell body, and they have a cytoplasmic projections from the cell body here. Okay. So they are the dendrites. So the dendritic tip of the nerve cells, here you have the tips, you see the dendrites tips here, all these dendrite tips. So they receive impulses. Okay. They receive impulses. Impulse means some signal, and they create a chemical reaction. Okay. After receiving that signal or impulses, they do a chemical reaction. That chemical reaction creates an electrical impulse. Okay. That chemical reaction creates an electrical impulse or signal. Then that signal is further transmitted to the cell body. Okay. Here, that you have to remember. Then next one is the cell body. It contains a well defined nucleus. You can see here the nucleus present here. Okay. So they are surrounded by the cytoplasm here, cell, and it has cell organelles like any other cells, which we saw in the previous lessons about cell structures. So it has the cell organelles, and this cell body, it transmits the impulse to the axon. So now here from the dendrites, electric signal comes to the cell body, then the cell body transmits the impulse to the axon. So this is the axon. You see a branch arising out from the cell body. Okay. This is what is called as axon. You see here this one. Okay. This is what is called as axon, and this is the axon ending. Okay. That you have to remember. So now a branch arising out from one branch arising out from the cell body is very long in comparison to the other branches here. Okay. These are other branches. So then this is called as axon. This axon is also called as nerve fiber, that you have to remember. Okay. This axon is also called as nerve fiber. Okay. So in most neurons, this axon is covered by an insulating fatty sheath. Sheath is like a covering called neurolemma. Okay. It is covered by a fatty sheath called as neurolemma. Okay, so this is the neurolemma. You see here the covering. This this is called as neurolemma. Okay, this is a fatty sheath, and it has a missing intervals. Okay, you can see the intervals here. The fatty sheath is missing here, so these intervals are called as node of Ranvier. Okay, node of Ranvier. So that you have to remember. So the fatty sheath is missing at intervals, which is called as node of Ranvier. So why the fatty sheath is missing? The fatty sheath is the neurolemma. So the reason for its missing is that it helps to generate the electrical activity and in transmission of nerve's impulse. So the nerve impulse electrical signal comes. Okay, so this node of Ranvier, okay, these intervals, they help in to generate the electrical activity. Okay, so it's like, let's say that this is the interval and this is the interval and this is the interval. Okay, so electric signal comes, so this helps in furthering this electrical activity. Okay, like a generator or something. Okay, transformer. So then it comes here, then it further is transformed. So it's like a transformer, you can imagine. Okay, so that is the function of the node of Ranvier. And the end portion of the axon have swollen ends like bulbs. Okay, this is the axon ending. They have a, this is a axon ending diagram given in a big picture. So it has a swollen ends like bulbs which store chemicals called as neurotransmitter. So the ending of the axons, they have bulb like structure. Okay, like this. Then they store some chemicals called as neurotransmitter, that you have to remember. So these axon bulbs here, these axon bulbs, they are closely placed near the dendrites of another neuron. Okay, you have another neuron same like this. Okay, so this axon ending, okay, you see here, they are placed closely to the dendrites of another neuron, not the same neuron but another neuron. Okay, that's how the nerve signal is passed from one neuron to another neuron. Hope you are clear about it. Okay, so when you have the dendrites and uh, there is a ending of the axon, so the space between these two, this junction, junction between these two neurons, this junction is called as synapse. Okay, and the space at the synapse that's separating the two neurons, okay, this is called as synaptic cleft. Okay, it is called as synaptic cleft. So there are many synapses. Obviously there are millions of neurons present in body, so there must be many synapses. Synapses means the junction in which two neurons meet. Okay, and we will end our class here because it's already going to be 20 minutes. I don't want to lengthen our session. So in the next class we will see this one, how the types of neurons and how the functions happens across the neurons, and then we will go to the nerves, inshallah. uh, Hope you all listened well. Inshallah we will see in the next class. Study well. Barakallah feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.